In the late 80s, 90s, early 2000s, if your console was a total flop failure or just didn't do as well as the other rival successors, that doesn't mean that it didn't have good games for it. There was always like three or four, maybe even five hidden gems for it that were really good. Now, I'm talking about the Atari Jaguar. It was only on the market maybe 2.5, 3 years. Nobody knew it existed really. Advertising was just kind of over the top for it. They kind of marketed it as a 64-bit system when it was really just a 32-bit, and some were even in 16. So people didn't really give it a try, which sucks because there were actually some really good games for it. So in this video, I'm going to go over what I think are five hidden gems for the Atari Jaguar. All right, let's get started. What do you get when you add crisp, 3D polygon graphics, a killer soundtrack, and a swarm of new levels and obstacles? You get Tempest 2000 for the Atari Jaguar. Yes, it's true, Atari managed to create a fresh cart out of the sick 13-year-old arcade game, more than just graphics upgrade. Tempest 2000 offers 100 different boards, new components, and power-up features like a particle blaster, jumps, and AI droids, a must for everyone who owns a Jaguar game console. According to Al Manuel with Electronic Gaming Monthly, number 57. This is my favorite game for the Atari Jaguar so far. Atari has taken one of the best arcade games and brought it to the home front. Everything has been well translated and has been improved with graphics that surpass the arcade version and a techno music score. The constant behind the blaster view is very cool, but can also hamper the player's view. It's good that you can manually change views. Cool. So, you got a Jaguar? I highly recommend checking out Tempest 2000. Number 2 on my list, it's got to go to Wolfenstein 3D. Awesome 3D shooter. So when talking about first-person shooters for the Jaguar, most people's first thoughts are like Aliens vs. Predator or Doom. And the Jaguar did have a great port of Doom, but so many other ports out there for PlayStation, 32X, 3DO, Sega Saturn, Super Nintendo, it's certainly not the best port. Wolfenstein 3D was already a few years old when it was released for the Jaguar, and everybody was anxiously awaiting for Doom. And I think that's a real shame, because Wolfenstein, for me, the 3D designed as a tech demo, just to make sure the Jaguar could handle Doom, not that great. What we got, what was really awesome, was one of the best ports of Wolfenstein 3D, a game that runs quickly at full screen and unlike a lot of other first-person shooters for the Jaguar, still has all the audio and all that great sound effects intact. Wolfenstein 3D itself has numerous ports, and the Jaguar version is based off the Macintosh release. This release had a combination of enemies and weapons from the PC game and its expansions. Arguably the best console port can be found on the Atari Jaguar. Wolfenstein has been modified to match the PC version more closely with better sound, updated graphics, and more frames of animation. But for me, the fact that Wolfenstein on the Jaguar comes on a cartridge with no loading, a keypad controller that makes it easy to strap and switch weapons and full screen action makes the Jaguar port my preferred as far as the Macintosh family of ports is concerned. A highly underrated game for the Jaguar, and one definitely worth checking out if you're a Jaguar collector like myself or just curious to play the game. Wolfenstein 3D, excellent choice. Alright, number 3, Rayman. That's right. Ubisoft's Rayman has become a successful franchise, spawning in several sequels and spin-offs. These days you can find Rayman on everything, from the Xbox One to the PS4 all the way to the Nintendo Switch. However, it's often overlooked that the first incarnation of the series was actually on the Atari Jaguar over 2 decades ago. Rayman is a visual treat. It offers much more than the average 2D platformer. Rayman's character's design is original and interesting. He's certainly not a Sonic the Hedgehog or a Super Mario clone. Likewise, the enemies littered throughout the game have the same slightly left field and inspired design. All the sprites in the game are colorful, well animated, and in the case of the end of level bosses, great. The backgrounds to each of the stages sport incredible attention to detail with little animations bringing everything to life. Each area of the map is varied and beautifully rendered. At times, it's like watching a well-drawn cartoon. Even now, a decade after the game's release, everything looks fresh and vibrant. Perhaps maybe 2 decades. The game was ported to several other systems, and the main difference between the Jaguar original and these is the sound. The Atari Jaguar Rayman is a 4 meg cartridge, whereas the other versions had the advantage of CD-ROM storage capacity. That's not to say the sound in this version is bad. It's fine, it's okay, so it's not streaming CD quality audio, but the tunes are catchy and not distracting. Sound effects are simple but effective. The sound may not quite match the high standard as the graphics, but that is a minor grumble. The game has all the classic 2D platforming ingredients: jumping, running, exploration, power-ups, and freaky bosses. You start the adventure with limited abilities: punch, jump, crawl, and climb, and as you progress through the game, Friendly Fairly rewards you with awesome new punching abilities and even the ability to helicopter hair. That's right, he flies and his hair swirls around like a helicopter, making Rayman one of the coolest to this day video game characters of all time. If you have an Atari Jaguar, I highly recommend checking out Rayman. Zool 2, because everyone's got to have a platformer to love, right? The intergalactic gremlin ninja Zool returns. This time his enemies in the game were named Cruel and his assistant Mental Block, whose goal is to stifle the world's imagination, causing rampant boredom. In the fight, Zool is aided by his female companion named Zeus, in a red costume, and his faithful dog Zune. The ending contained a hint as a possible further sequel, however, no one saw the light of day with that game. Zool 2 is very similar gameplay-wise to the original game, but more cartoonish and detailed graphics. It also adds the option to play as Zool's female counterpart, Zeus, who is armed with an energy whip. The two characters played similarly all throughout the game. Subtle differences in their abilities, most notably Zool is capable of destroying parts of the scenery that Zeus couldn't, vice versa, resulting in slightly different role throughout the levels. The sequel, like the original, features several minigames, such as a version of Breakout, which uses Zool's two-headed morphing pet dog as a paddle. Pretty neat. The game got really great reviews, especially for a console that nobody knew existed. It received generally high reviewing scores, featuring a total score of 93%, given by EGM, GameFan, and GamePro magazine. While as Next Generation called it still a basic platform game, but one of the best seen in a while, especially for the Atari Jaguar. I personally thought it was a great game, and highly recommend checking it out. So if you have a Jaguar, definitely look up Zool 2. If not, there's always an emulator. Alright, last hidden gem on my list has got to be Iron Soldier. Here we have one of the few gems in Atari's lineup, an entertaining little mech game called Iron Soldier. You play the role of a rebel living sometime in the future who works for an organization that has stolen a giant mech warrior called Iron Soldier from the evil Iron Fist Corporation. Yeah, it's not really plot, but to be sure, it still gets the job done. It's quite possibly the only game to make the telephone keypad thing that the Atari passed off as a controller make any sense at all. This game is quite a bit of fun by Jaguar standards. Really enjoyable by any game standards. You use each of the numbers on the keypad to represent a part of the Iron Soldier's body, and you can mount weapons on its shoulders, hips, and on its right hand. The left is reserved for pummeling things. This makes switching between weapons largely a painless process during the gameplay, and the fact that you can custom mount the weapons onto your Iron Soldier before each mission gives the game a sense of freedom and customization that is easy to appreciate. The game is divided up into 4 levels with a total of 16 missions. Each mission is entertaining with the exception of 2 missions that have you escorting a convoy through a level while it is constantly being attacked by enemy tanks and helicopters. Those 2 missions are annoying and dull in my view, and the route the convoys take suggests that the drivers are suicidal, reducing your desire to keep them alive. Alas, you cannot advance without doing so. Fortunately, the other 14 missions have you going after specific targets and destroying them, or defending static objects from attack, which is far more entertaining than the two dud missions. You are supplied with plenty of ammo, and as the game progresses, you will find more and more weapons for a total of 8 weapons. They range from a semi-useful assault rifle to cruise missile that you pilot remotely into whatever you are trying to destroy. Your Iron Soldier can even step on rockets, tanks, and machine gun positions and destroy them without firing a single shot. It's kind of like controlling a 50-foot mecha warrior with polygon graphics and a killer soundtrack. All in fact, this game can be found for a total of maybe $10 on eBay. So if you have a Jaguar, highly recommend checking out. Well, this has been my top 5 hidden gems for the Atari Jaguar console. My name is 16-Bit Pete. If you liked what you see, thumbs up the video, share, like. Don't forget the subscribe button. Really helps if you hit that subscribe button. Anyways, enjoy, guys. Have a great Friday night. This is 16-Bit Pete, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye now.
Why would I buy a 32-bit system for $300 when I can get a 64-bit Jaguar system for $149?
Atari Jaguar 64-bit, $149.